Hey everyone, I'm Lily, and today I'm going to be doing kind of more of a rambly type video, because I said I was going to be doing this, but then I mentioned this in my kind of like end of 2018 wrap-up video, but I'd like to talk about kind of like a future project that I want to do with like both the channel and streaming. I'll have like components of it on each, and that would be a new programming project. Way back when, early on in the channel, I did some Stellaris modding videos, and for a mod I was working on called Theosaur. And after a while, it turned out that like what I had envisioned for Theosaur, Stellaris wasn't a great template for it, and kind of went beyond that scope. And then I began learning C#, and I've spent the last like 8 months or so like learning C# and like getting better at that, and now I'm feeling kind of confident enough to actually like produce some content with that coding stuff in mind. So this is going to be largely kind of a ramble and kind of just like throwing ideas out and whatnot. So I mean, if you hear anything that you like and would like to see, I might have a poll in the description. If I do, it'll be linked. If I don't, that'll mean I'm still working on it, maybe. I don't know. Look down below to see if I have any, like, feedback polls doohickey or whatever. But, yeah. But let me know if you have any, like, suggestions or ideas or feedback. So, right now I'm definitely in the, hey, I want some feedback stage of, figuring out this project and whatnot. So, yeah, with that out of the way, so what am I looking to do in general? So I'm working, and I'm primarily good with, I've been working with C# and Unity. For those of you who don't know, C# is a programming language. It's actually, like, syntax-wise, it's actually not too dissimilar to Java. And then Unity is it's a lot of things, but it's an engine that is like the game creation engine. It's used to like make games and stuff, and the thing I mostly use it as is a graphics library. I have it just handle all of my graphics and UI stuff. I try not to lean heavily in on the like game logic that Unity has. I try to do almost everything pure and its own thing rather than relying on Unity, because I don't know, there's lots of mixed opinion about Unity, but I try to stick to more of the pure C# programming, because that's the primary thing I was trying to learn how to do, was learning C#, and that's also what I want to do for this. It's also just a bit cleaner, a bit more efficient in a lot of ways and things like that, but yeah. So what I was thinking is, like, I want to have, like, I don't know, like, I want to create with, like, kind of like as a series, kind of like doing a small to medium game, obviously, and kind of create that, like, in terms of, like graphics wise, it's probably gonna be 2D graphics or like very limited like 3D space, like nothing too extravagant on the graphics front, just because I would kind of want to more focus on the coding side of things, although like UX and like stuff like that will be part of it, of course, because you can't have a game without UX, but not too heavy on that front. I definitely want to focus on the gameplay and game experience side of things. So, I have a few, like, ideas running around of, like, what I want to do, and I kind of just want to hear your ideas and also hear what you would like to see. The first idea is an idle game, or incremental game, or there's a lot of different names for that whole genre of game where, this is common, actually a really good, like, entry-level game thing. Like, if, like, the most famous, like, kind of like, entry into this genre is Cookie Clicker. That said, I specifically don't want to make a clicker game. I would definitely be wanting to make something more along the lines of the Kittens game, or even, like, to the point of, like, having a bit more abstract and esoteric, like Castle Builder. So, like, The two ideas I have for that, one of which I had, but then I started making into a different game as an own personal project, and it kind of stopped being an incremental game and turned more into a management game, like full-on management game, and I'll talk about that one later, because that's also one idea, was that should I just do like updates and dev diaries and things like that on this other game I'm making separate from what I was thinking and just go with that? You wouldn't see a lot of the early stuff, but I'm already like made good headway into it, and there's a bit more to show off early on, and it'd be a lot less necessarily back-end stuff, and I could do a lot more videos sooner about doing like front-end stuff and doing like filling out like JSON files to populate different aspects of it. But the other like idle game I had was idea of something just like very like esoteric and kind of like very abstract. Like I like Sandcastle Builder, and if you haven't played Sandcastle Builder, I would definitely recommend checking it out. But it is based off of an XKCD comic, but it's like, it's very interesting. I probably wouldn't do like the long, like, I'm not like replicating its mechanics, but more of its feel. It's a game where like a lot of things aren't really spelled out. It's a lot of trial and error, and honestly, even if you try to look up stuff, it's kind of weird. But it's all built around like large paradigm shifts and whatnot, where all of a sudden like you get to a point in the game where like the game is like almost completely different, and what you're focusing on growing and things like that is just a completely different idea, and like the gameplay changes significantly in what you're doing. It's kind of built on that, but I definitely want to catch both the paradigm shift side and as well as kind of like this esoteric, detached, like not super well explained, but still there. I also kind of want to do something weird where I kind of, for all these ideas, I want to have a good story component to it, because I love writing, I love telling stories, and I kind of want to tell a story in some way through these things, whether it be like a story in the sense of just kind of like world building and things like that, and kind of environmental story and things like that, or a specific story, or it doesn't necessarily have to be linear or whatever, but like to tell a story within that. So that's my one idea, is just like kind of like a very kind of detached, esoteric game. That would be interesting just to go through, because one thing is like seeing it made, it loses some of that mystery and like detachment. But part of also seeing it made is kind of like seeing how the sausage is made, and like seeing how I make it, kind of like that mysterious, like weird, obscure mechanics, and like where is that separation between like the back end sides and the front end sides and things like that. The downsides of this version though is that one thing I like to do in like a practice I've been working on is trying to make things very like moddable and just abstracted to like text files and JSON files, so it's easy to add content and stuff. Something like an idle game, I wouldn't want to do that, just because, especially for this esoteric one, because that's just not a game that like ultimately when I would put it out, I wouldn't want people to like be able to dig through the backend files and stuff like that. I don't want the code to necessarily be decipherable like some other games. So yeah, that's one idea. Another idea is just kind of like go very more general and kind of like more almost on theme for the channel, and that is make a small RPG, like a small like single player, like probably like top down 2D RPG. And a lot of the early videos and streams and stuff would be like definitely like a lot of engine work and things like that, and figuring out exactly what I would want it to do. And I don't know actually what I want it to look like, but that could definitely be just kind of like a possibility for ideas of like, do I want it to be like in the world? Do I want it to be an echo of Nier? Do I want to like set it in the world of generic RPG and something? Because that could be a lot of fun to actually have a kind of like video game RPG version of like an adventure in generic RPG. Now obviously that one is interesting because compared to like an idle game or something like that, that one has like a lot higher like graphics load and things like that, and I'm not the best at that when it comes to like getting like video game assets and stuff, so I'd have to like work with what I can, and that's an extra load of stuff that I wouldn't do a lot, so I'd figure it out from there. But that is kind of the that's one option. I think it's also just very thematically fitting. It's also just a cool thing to do, and that is one that also I could also get some community involvement in if people wanted to, because that's a game I would want to abstract to be like very moddable and very have lots of editable like text files and stuff to add in like new areas and things like that. So there would that be that ability for people to do other things. So that's an idea to do an RPG. Other like genres I like, the other idea was kind of like in a similar vein and has a lot of the similar problems, would be some sort of base building game. The base building game I was thinking about, because it's like, I love games like RimWorld and Dwarf Fortress, but they're not like, I'm not a fan of RimWorld because I definitely do like the more like medieval fantasy aesthetic and stuff. Dwarf Fortress is awesome, but you have to be in the right mindset, and like Dwarf Fortress is also very like specific approach and narrow view of that. And the base building game I had in mind was you're building like I don't know, like it would be like kind of like a generic like fantasy kind of like base building thing where it would be very abstract what you can build, and based on how you build it and how you initiate everything, it would change what it would be. Where it's like, if you wanted to literally just build a dwarven fortress and you wanted to like go out and embark with just like, I want a bunch of dwarves, I'm going to build into the side of a mountain, I'm going to do all that, you can do that. Alternatively, you could also do like, okay, I'm setting it with like a bunch of wizards and also like laborers, because wizards don't like building stuff, and I'm going to build like a wizard school / like grand library and things like that, and based on what you have, you'll attract different types of people and things like that. Oh, I have an adventurers guild where I have adventurers and they go off on missions and things like that and come back and bring us back with like riches and stuff like that, which I do like that idea. But and like things like that, and that also has similar issues to like requiring lots of assets and things like that, and it's a bit more involved for actual like the programming side and like the back end work, but I think it could be really cool and be really interesting. The next idea would be do what I'm currently working on, and I think this is one of the first times I've actually publicly talked about this project that I've been working on, and that is a project called its working name is really dumb because I like having dumb over the top names when I can't think of something, but that is Biomancer Ascension, where it's in the kind of the same vein of managing like an adventuring guild, but it's a management game, so it's like very much abstracted like menus and doing like not like a spreadsheet simulator, but like menus and like resource management, things like that, where you're a bibliomancer, you're a book wizard who is just doing a lot of the back-end management for an adventuring company. So you start out as like you're just like huddled in like the room that your adventuring party has like rented out in the nearby cat tavern, and they go off and fight bandits, but you're back here, you're like managing contacts with other people, you're like managing the money, they come back with all the treasure, you gotta divvy it up to make sure everyone's happy and things like that. You try to recruit new people, like eventually once you get enough treasure you just like strike out on your own, like you start out by like building like a small guild hall, and they might like evolve into like a keep and things like that as you get more resources and things like that. But you're sitting there in the back end doing like all the resource management and like the interpersonal things, and this one does interact with kind of like the idea of incremental games a lot, although it's not really an idle game in that sense, where it's like after a time, like your adventuring guild might disband or die or fire you because they hate you, or people might leave, and and you have to restart with a new guild. So the guild's resources reset, but you yourself, you've progressed, because obviously you'll have like a full fantasy like progression tree, but it's like all the standard like schools where it's like a normal like combat wizard might have like fire magic or like divination or like, I don't know, telekinesis and things like that. But your bibliomancer, so your like categories are like organization, contacts and interpersonal skills, I don't know, logistics and things like that, where you have like all these different like trees and stuff and you're going through. But it's like very much focused on like all the non-combat applications of things like that. But yeah, so but it's like you get to keep those skills and stuff, and then you get to start a new guild, but you get to like have a little bit of a running start because you're a little more powerful, you have some more nail, and you might be able to start with better adventurers and things like that. And then eventually you like kind of like there might be like an ascension mechanic where you like take, and once you get powerful enough you can take on an apprentice, and that apprentice, like you can eventually retire and abdicate to your apprentice. You get to choose whatever like ascension perks that like will like stay with like your game for like forever. But then you start with a fresh bibliomancer with a fresh guild that was your apprentice, and then you get to move on from there. So that's what I'm working on there. So yeah, so those are the primary ideas that I have for games. Granted, it's only a few of them, and let me know, like, what would you like to see? Like, I really would like to hear a lot of feedback. Like, okay, now I'm thinking about it, I said it, there might go back and forth on having a poll, but I definitely will have a poll below. So, yeah. Yeah, so let me know what you think. Like, are there any, like, genres of games that you think, like, I don't know, fits my personality that I'm just, like, overlooking? And, like, which ones speak to you? Or do you, like, have a tweak or an idea of something that, like, is tangent to these that you think would work better? And also just, like, are you interested in these kind of coding videos at all? Or also probably do, like, some coding streams and stuff? Would be interested in like having any like community involvement, even if it's just like anywhere from like actually like creating like modding APIs where people can add like their own like creature lists or whatever, or just like smaller things like crowdsourcing like name lists and things like that. So yeah, so like let me know what you think. This is definitely something I want to do because I mean I've been enjoying really like working with this and working with C#. I'm actually about to like head actually back to school and actually gonna finish up like an actual like C# certificate, even though like the early classes I don't really need, but you need it for the certificate, and I need like the piece of paper is helpful for like career potentially. But I'd really like to do this kind of as like both to monetize my hobbies, but also to be kind of like get some community stuff and like get something made, because it's like something I want to like actually follow through to completion and actually like have a thing being like, hey, I made this, and doing it for all of you really makes me like actually finish the project. So yeah, let me know what you think, what your thoughts are, and yeah, I don't know what else to say. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening to this like kind of long-winded ramble, but yeah, I don't know what else to say. Well, yeah. Well, thank you so much for your feedback. I'll definitely have a link to like some sort of like general feedback poll, but also leave feedback in the comments or whatever, or my Discord. If I do this, I'll probably like start like a new channel on the Discord to be like talking about this project specifically, or maybe even a new section if I need to. I'll look into like, I'll see what I do. But yeah, no, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful night's sleep. And as always, may your story smile upon you.